What is up, you guys? Welcome back to Kubrick for the 9th and the final episode of building the Falcons Nest. After over 4 months of building and thousands of grey bricks used, today finally I'm gonna walk you through this finished beauty of a MOC with all of its details, fun features and all the cool factor I worked on with this build. But before we do that, there is still some work to do in this episode, because the last time you saw the MOC in episode 8, there was a couple of key elements still missing. So how we're gonna approach it today is, first I'll show you the building process of the tower along with the awesome feature I've been teasing for some time now, and making of the bridge that I've started very early in the series but didn't get to finish it until now. And then after all of that is done, you will finally get to see the MOC in all of its glory, first in a cinematic showcase, and then I'll walk you through the story that I set up here. So yeah, probably it will be a long episode today, but I promise you that it will be worth staying to the end, because the MOC turned out really good. Oh, and before we start, just one more thing. As this video is published, I'm probably setting the MOC on the Mazovian Brick Festival that is taking place the whole weekend in Radom, Poland. So if you want to see it live, along with hundreds of other cool MOCs, then make sure you drop in and come say hi. And if you can't, then at least subscribe to the channel if you haven't done that yet, because you don't want to miss lots of other builds I'm planning for the future. But now, with all that out of the way, let's get into the progress I've made since the last episode, so let's get started right now. And what I've started with is the rocky base for the bridge. I made the first draft, but figured it was a bit too small, so I've expanded it by a couple of studs, but then I ran out of slopes yet again, so I guess this part will have to wait until I get pieces for that. Just when I thought I won't be buying any more slopes in the next decade. So in the meantime, I've established the curve of the bridge by adding a flex cable with some clips attached, similar to the bridge I did in my previous MOC, but this time with some different surroundings. But since I got so down that I couldn't make this whole section right now, I switched my focus to the tower. Of course, to continue work on it, I needed some parts too. Fortunately, I quickly got the package I ordered during the previous episode, so after unpacking this small batch of, you guessed it, grey pieces, I could start my work on the tower. At first, I made the roof for the side flat entry, as it was a bit tricky to do, but thanks to that, I've developed the technique for the tower roof as well. Nothing fancy, just some black dots on black wedges, but I honestly like it, so no need for some fancy snot roof or anything like that. But anyways, with the side roof done, I could finally make some progress on the tower itself. So I first started with the mysterious feature I was teasing for some time now, and installed a Lego motor in the tower, with a hidden switch in the wall, and another mystery for you: what is it for? Don't worry, you will know soon enough, but first let's work on the walls a bit, and bang, there we go. This is more or less the height I was aiming for, and I think that should be enough of the bricks, as there will be also a wooden quarter deck on the top, so the tower should be tall enough to catch the eye. As you see, I've added some windows, one on each side, which adds so much to the aesthetic as well as functionality, with the cross-shaped opening like on the gatehouse, but this time with a windowsill and arches above to give some more depth to it, and of course the black Falcon banner expanded and hang below the courtyard facing window. So the next step is to even the bricks level and make the frame for the wooden hoardings. I'm making the wood one stud wider on each side, so I've added some small supports from below, and on the corners I made load-bearing beams which will determine the height of the quarter deck. The deck is layered with tiles because I will be making the walls sideways, and as for the technique used, this is the way I will make them so that they are secured nicely to the inside, but leaving the half stud offset from the corner beams. I tried making the weathered texture looks of the boards, using as always lots of small plates, tiles and ingots, and finally placed a window in the middle, covering the inside with black tiles so that we don't see all the stuff inside. And this way I made all of the 4 walls surrounding the tower, enforcing them from the inside with some Technic plates, and still that axle running from the motor below that I will explain in just a moment. But first the roof. I had a general idea of how it should look, but since I used black wedges below, I had to match them here as well. But also, I had to leave it hollow so that I can stick the axle inside, so I made the center with some Technic bricks and attached the roof wedges using hinges. But that came out way too small for my taste, so I had to remake the roof to better fit how I imagine it, just like so. And yeah, now you know why the motor inside and the axles going through the tower. Yes guys, we will have falcons flying around the tower. But while doing the roof, I broke the mechanism a bit, so I had to disassemble a part of the tower and make it more sturdy. But at least I can now show you the whole mechanism I made to make the Falcons fly. The long axle reaches as far as the quarter deck reaches, but it was still too fast at first, so I decided to add a few gears under the roof, and now the speed is perfect. Now I just have to finish the roof to cover it all. And this is it. The roof has its proper height and is very stable thanks to the structure I made inside, not only using the previously mentioned hinges, but also some flex hoses that are keeping everything nicely in place. Oh, and on the corners I made some beams made with Technic pins stuck on some flexes as well, which are filling the corners holes here perfectly. And the final thing is of course the bridge, that I won't spend too much time talking about since you've already seen my fair share of rock building in this series. The change here is that we have more of a straight wall since the pier was built here during the outflow, so I used the same technique as the fortress walls, only using two colors, dark for the wet part and light for the dry. Besides that, I just have to adjust the pier to the desired height, add the water surrounding the pier, and finish it up with some details. You already saw me doing most of that before, so I won't bore you with all of that anymore, and I'll just complete it all behind the scenes so that we have something unseen in the final presentation of the MOC. And now, ladies and gentlemen, let's finally, after over 4 months, check out the finished Falcons Nest, so sit back, relax, and let's roll the cinematic. Enjoy! So guys, what do you think? For me, it's definitely the best castle team build I've made, even though it was supposed to be a quick and small build, but as we all know, things often don't go as planned. The most important thing is that beside it looking awesome, I had a lot of fun making it since it was one of my favorite teams of all times, but also the experience I gained with it will for sure be useful when I finally get to building a true large-scale castle someday. but that is far ahead into the future, so now let's focus on what we have here and dive into the story a bit. So, welcome to the Falcons Nest, a fortified outpost that was built by the Black Falcons on a huge rock near the coast somewhere in the medieval Europe. We can see the rock that the fortress was built on in great detail as the rock base reaches deep under the water surface, where it's covered with seaweed and inhabited by different kinds of fish. Thanks to this perfect location, it is used by the Falcons to station their troops while being a great observation point both for keeping an eye on the entire coast but also the nearby towns. With only one way of entry through a long stone bridge and tall defense walls surrounding the whole structure, it is almost impenetrable by the enemy's forces. As we see our troops marching out to patrol the nearby plains, we can see how intimidating the entry gate is while looking at it from below. Here we have our most important defense line. With massive gate doors and raising portcullis, it would take really much effort to get past the gate, especially that the bridge is so narrow that there is no way any siege equipment could be used to tear it down. The enormous gatehouse is guarded by archers 24/7 from above, and is not only covered by high merlons as the rest of the surrounding walls, but also we have here functional machiculations that allow the archers to shoot the enemies that came too close to the gate, or even throw rocks at them that are stored in the crate right next to the faction flag. Going into the fortress through a gate, we are met with a small yet functional yard where a team of elite knights are having a briefing with their commander. On the walls we have some mounted torches to light up the area and even a vine planted here by the soldiers to bring some life to the harsh environment that they have to deal with on a daily basis. The courtyard is also a way to access the keep, which was built as a huge tower reaching high above the area, but also the defense walls through a narrow wooden staircase. The wall walk may not be the safest one as there are no barriers here, but the archers and crossbowmen patrolling it seem to have no problem maneuvering on its surface. After all the ones stationed here are considered the best of the best. And of course, we cannot forget Sir Pussalot that is overwatching the briefing on the courtyard. From the wall walk, soldiers can of course access the keep, but also the portcullis mechanism that is installed right below the guard tower. And yes, the archers stationed on the tower of course have to have a way to climb the gatehouse, so we have here a small but a secure ladder which is more than enough for the lightly geared watchman. But the most menacing and important part of a fortress is of course the tower/keep. Decorated with a big Black Falcon banner, surrounded by windows from all sides and with 3 entry points, this is the place where the stationed soldiers rest, dine and keep all their belongings, but the most important purpose of the structure is having a lookout on the surrounding seas and lands. At first built out of stones mined all around the coast, but when that wasn't enough, enlarged by a wooden quarterdeck that is now used as a main observation point as well as the general's quarters. All is covered by a classic black roof, which the trained falcons are constantly flying around, making the tower surely the most iconic spot in the whole build. Hence the name Falcons Nest. And with that we can finally close this chapter of the Cube Brick book and move on to other projects, hopefully as cool as this one was. Like I said earlier, if you have that opportunity, make sure to see it live on a Mazovian Brick Fair this weekend, where it will be displayed next to other great creations made by my friends and lagmates. As for what's next for the channel, after the convention I will show you another one of my projects that was built as part of a collaboration to display on the show, and a recap of the entire Brick Fair for those who couldn't make it. And what is the next MOC I'll be making, you ask? Some of you may already know this, but I'm taking a part in another collab, this time a more international one, showing the most iconic scenes from the season 3 of The Mandalorian. And after that, who knows, the possibilities are endless and my head is bursting with ideas, so there is surely something to look forward to on the channel. So hey, if you haven't subscribed yet, go ahead and do that now so you won't miss the next video I make. And of course, leave a like and let me know in the comments how did you enjoy this series. But now, with all that being said, have a great rest of the day and I will see you in the next video on the channel. So as always guys, stay safe and keep it brickin'.